Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Ijad. Hello, everybody. I'm really happy that you're here because I know that you're not often on stages and conferences because you prefer to work on your startup.
Yeah.
We both know each other, I think, almost since the beginning of ResearchGate. But I'm sure there might be some people in the audience who haven't heard a lot of your growth story. So could you give us at the beginning like a 3-5 minutes intro how a doctor, scientist, and computer nerd became one of the most successful founders in Berlin?
Yeah. So thanks for having me 4 years after me being here for the first time. So my background is I'm a medical doctor. I also studied computer science. I worked many years in research, and research is very inefficient because in the most cases you share only the positive results, not the negative results. So if you're sitting in a lab and an experiment is failing, you don't talk about those failures with other people. Means again, a lot of people in this world just making the same mistakes again and again. I was frustrated about this, and I co-founded then together with my colleagues and friends Sören and Horst ResearchGate in 2008 in order to solve exactly this problem, to make science more connected and changing science and bringing science out of the ivory tower and try to make science more open, as computer science has proven that this is possible. And this is what it started in 2008, and since then we have grown to the biggest and most important social network for science in the world.
You have 12 million users now?
13, yeah.
13 even. We want to talk about scaling a company and scaling a startup without losing its core. And I thought there are probably at least 4 very important components to scale up a company. One is team, one is money, one is the founder, and one is the product, of course. So these are the 4 topics I want to go through during this talk. And I would love to start with a team, because a good team is really necessary. And I recently read an article you wrote for a German business paper where you said, please, companies, you need to hire more optimists and give responsibility to them. Could you explain this a little, what you mean?
Yeah. So when I started ResearchGate, and I was, of course, a lot of people told me that this is not going to be successful. Why should science change if you just build a platform where scientists start to share their results with other scientists in real time? Because there's so much competition. If you believe in every but which someone gives you, if you're telling him a story, you would never start a company. You would never start anything. So I found for myself and for the team at ResearchGate that being a pragmatic optimist is the /1 trait I'm looking for if I'm hiring people for ResearchGate. So that is, in my opinion, really the /1 trait which someone needs who wants to work for ResearchGate / who wants to be a successful entrepreneur. And then the second thing is you have to give those people the responsibility. As a founder, of course, it takes quite a long time that you start to understand how much is the work which you have to do on your own and how much can you delegate and can give to people and trust them. And that is something very, very important that you learn that quite quickly, this mix between I do things on my own and I help the team to move forward, but on the other hand, just trust your team because you just hired them to do what you want them to do. And all these 2 things together, combined with the fact that trying to put a diversified team, I think is key to be successful.
What is pragmatic optimism? I mean, optimism can also be dangerous. I remember a TED talk by an Israeli scientist, Terry Shariat, and she was talking about the optimism bias and that you can also be too optimistic. So she showed a cartoon at the end of the talk, penguins who need to jump into the new age, and the penguins were scared. The pessimistic one didn't jump because they said, it's too dangerous, we can't fly. The 2 optimistic ones just jumped down and were dead. And the pragmatic or realistic optimists, they were like, we need to build a parachute. So what do you mean with pragmatic optimism, that it's not too optimistic? Because
the other ones who did not die never knew that they need to build it because no one jumped from this thing, right? So I think you have to make mistakes and you have to fail very quickly. And in my opinion, you only can do if you are pragmatic and optimist at the same time. So I always experienced, like pessimists, they are always very problem-focused, not solution-focused. So of course there are so many problems we have to tackle in this world. So many people try to change the world. And you only can do this if you believe that you are capable of doing. And this is always this first thing I look at. If I look at a product, if I look at team building, if I look at fundraising, always be optimistic that you can do it and that you find the solution for it if you just build the team. I always say to my team, if we cannot do it, no one will be able to do it.
How do you find out if people are optimistic when you hire them?
I have a set of questions which the people who are now doing also the hiring are using in order to find some sort of a proxy to find out if someone is optimistic or not. So I'm not that type of, like I found out over the last years in interviews, looking into CVs, I always go to the hobby section first. So I don't look what did they study or what are their grades. I don't care, I just go to the hobby section. You can read so much out of the hobbies a person has, which you then, again, can ask questions around. So my colleagues know, like if I come into an interview, the hobby question comes. And then I use the hobbies to find a way to see if that person is optimistic or pessimistic. And there are a set of questions you can ask to find that out. For example, give you an example for communicative skills. If you want to find out if someone is communicative, you don't ask them, hey, are you communicative? The person, yes, I am. Oh, good. That doesn't work. But if you say, for example, do you like hiking? And do you like traveling alone? Then if the person says, yes, I like traveling alone, that's a proxy that, okay, if someone travels alone, you have to talk to people at one point. So this person has to have some communication skills. And you can do similar things with all the different traits you're trying to find within people when you hire them.
Okay, it's also about sharing probably the same values, same optimistic values, which is probably also important if you found with friends, because there's one question popping up, is it risky to start business with friends? So I think this is also a value thing.
I think, so I saw the question, I think it's not risky. I built up ResearchGate with all my friends, right? So if you look into
That's very optimistic.
Yes, very optimistic, exactly. So I believe if, we went also through tough times at ResearchGate, but I knew that my friends are on my side. And this is something, a feeling which you cannot exchange with, like if you have that and they care, that makes a huge difference. And we have so many friends, like from I played with people computer games. Like when I came to Berlin, I sent my friends in ICQ a message, hey, Dari, can you code? Yes, I can. Where do you live right now? Here. Okay, can you come? Yes. And then another friend, then Sören and Horst, right? I know Sören from studying medicine. I know Horst from studying computer science. We know each other for such a long time that we know we can trust each other and also in our skills. So the whole companies, if you come to ResearchGate, the core is friends and new friends, which have been or became a new friends by just having friends of friends. So it is, in my opinion, a very important part of becoming a successful company to have people you can trust / friends in your company.
So if it's founders or founder colleagues or if it's employees, you need people you can trust on.
Yeah.
So trust is one of the most
Absolutely,
important things.
Yeah.
A lot of investors trusted you, and we all know that Bill Gates was one of the investors, and then suddenly at the beginning of this year you revealed that you had another financing round back in 2015 where you didn't talk about this until you were forced to, I think, because of some balances you had to publish.
Exactly, yeah.
And this was a financing round about 50 million with Bill Gates, Goldman Sachs, Peter Thiel, Ashton Kutcher, so a lot of VIP investors. Why have you been so shy and did not announce it?
So, me as a founder also, you learn things through the course of building ResearchGate, things which have been more important in the beginning when I came to this entrepreneur world being a scientist, so I didn't know what people do and what's normal, what's not normal. In the beginning, I felt this proud of raising a round, and I was like, yes, that's a cool thing, and I want to talk about it. That has changed, honestly. I found out that raising a round is maybe not the coolest thing, right? It's not good to have money. You have responsibility, you have a burden, you have to do something with the money. And this, in the last round, the Series D, was similar. We were in the middle of launching projects, which is an amazing feature for scientists, and then this round came together, and then I talked to the communications people, said, yeah, we could announce it. If we're announcing this, it just distracts us. And Raising around doesn't change that much. I rather want to talk about the product and the impact we have than talking about the funding. I just didn't know that this stuff has to be published at one point in Germany in official financial reports, and then we needed to change it, so then we needed to announce it. But I rather would focus on the product and the impact we have with ResearchGate than talking about fundraising.
This is also an answer to the top question at the moment on leading a company. How do you balance between being a cool founder and getting things done by your team?
It is again the trust, right? It is if people trust you in both directions that you're making good decisions, and if you always basing your decisions on data and basing on decisions. So I have if you build a product, this needs to come out of your gut feeling. But
that's
then
the second question there.
Oh,
do you rely on gut feeling or more on
yes,
pragmatic
a lot.
optimism?
Yes, a lot. Gut feeling is like, if I'm working, for example, so if you go to a user and ask him, so this is why I don't like surveys of asking users something, because users usually don't know what they want. So what we do is you go and you just build a product, and then this is a gut feeling decision to build a specific product, but then you need data to rely on it and to prove if that is working or if it's not working. So this balance between gut feeling and deciding what to build, but then use data in order to prove or unprove or the opposite if this product is working or not. And that is, for me, very important. This is the same thing being a leader and talking to the people. And I always see myself, I hate the word leader, I hate the word boss, I hate the word CEO. I'm just a partner of a large team, of a great team, which we have at ResearchGate. Everyone is important as the other one because they're part of a functional team, right? So I'm also now working on an app within ResearchGate where I see a face of my employee and then 3 names, and I have to guess the name of that person because I just want to remember every name of every employee because it's
How many employees do you have?
Close to 300 now. I still, I would say 80–90%, I still know the names and what areas they're working in. And I think that is super, super important. I think that's the most important thing. Way more important than sitting here and talking at conferences, right? This is why I also don't go to conferences.
We're back to team.
Yeah, exactly.
We're back to team and to value. And so for you, it's more important, coming back to this question, it's more important your team and getting your work done and your projects done than to being a cool founder, which Berlin used to be a lot.
Yeah, I'm just myself. I'm not trying to be cool.
Okay.
I just now have the luxury to be myself, which I didn't have if you're in science, right? You have to adjust there more than in the tech world, which is good.
What have you been doing with the new money you got back in 2015? You just mentioned a project called Project.
Yes.
And you were building your product. What were your...
Yeah.
What have you been doing during these
So
months?
still, our mission is connect the world of science and making research open to all. And this is still the focus of our product, growing the community, building projects, refining projects. So project is a feature where scientists can talk about what they're working on right now and can get immediate feedback and potentially then change the direction of their research. So we're still working on
real-time research.
Real-time research, yes, exactly. Which I think is the basis for automatic research, which we maybe talk later about. So that is something we focus hardcore on. And then the second thing is monetization, of course, right? I know that we're going to break even with the last funding round, which we raised.
When?
When I don't care, but soon.
What is gut feeling and data saying?
I have data about it, but I think, again, it's also not so important to talk about it because if the product and the core is working, then you will make money, and you will make a lot of money. And this is also when I started raising money 6–7 years ago, a lot of investors, famous investors, did not understand what I'm trying to do with ResearchGate. And they always try to understand, hey, how do you want to make money with this thing? And I said, hey, if there's a ResearchGate with all the scientists of the world using this thing, this will be successful, and then you can make money with it. And the cool thing about ResearchGate is if you look at this, our mission, connect the world of science, making research open to all. This world of science is not just consisting only of the scientists. It consists of biotech companies, pharma companies, funding agencies, conferences. So there is a natural interest for scientists to be connected to other parts in this world which you can use to monetize. And we have seen early signs that this is just so working, it's working so well, because we knew if we build the core product and if we get the people to use our product, and you, for example, reading a research article and you see a microscope XYZ, and you want to click on that microscope and get more information, potentially buying it, that's worth a lot. So
I remember when we met several years ago that this was one thing I think Matt Kohler told you from Benchmark Capital.
Yes.
He said, don't focus on making money at the moment, focus on
Yes.
growing your
Totally.
community. But now you also started to try to make money in different directions. Could you just explain where you make money and how you make money, recruiting, advertising?
Yeah, so currently there are two strategies. One is recruiting. So we know that we have the brightest minds in the world using our product. And on the other hand, there are like NASA, Harvard, biotech companies like Thermo Fisher, who are just looking for talent, who are looking for scientists in the world who they can hire. So we built a product to make that possible. The second thing is, it's called advertising. I don't like the word advertising because it's not advertising. It's not like Facebook where I'm logging in and they try to sell me like hair growth drugs, right? This is different. Like it is caps. Yes, that would be good. It is, you'll read an article and you see content which is related to that article, which helps you to do research. So that's a different thing. So that is the second area we're working in. We're calling it advertising. I don't like the word, but let's just stick with it for now. So you come to a research item on ResearchGate and you see a conference where this was presented at, or where maybe you should present it. You see some lab material, lab equipment, software, which you could buy or which you could use for this specific experiment. So things which help you to do better research, and that is how we make money right now.
Coming back to product, you have 30 million users now on your platform. And your idea is that they share all their ideas and even real-time research. This brings me to the next question, which is popping up there. How are they and how are you dealing with copyright questions and questions like, do people steal my research? Do people steal my publications?
Yeah, I think the question you're asking is the answer again. So the old system where you as a scientist, and I can speak for myself, and I went through the same thing. I finished my research, wrote a paper, submitted it to a journal, the journal sent it back to me, and I needed to revise the research article, and while I was revising it, there was another article published which exactly did the same thing which I was doing. This is of course solved if you do real-time research. You put this on ResearchGate, you get an official DOI, digital objective identifier, and everyone knows that you were the first person doing it. So the question you're asking about, hey, someone may be stealing, no, it's not. It's public there, it's connected to your profile, it's connected to your identity, it's connected to the other work. So there's a clear sign of that everyone knows who's doing what. And I think that was missing before, because beforehand you just kept the secrets and kept the data for yourself. And then of course it's likely that someone else maybe finds it, steals it, is taking the data or is publishing it before you. And I think that is something which we solve just by the fact of this real-time idea we're having by building ResearchGate.
So transparency is helping
yes, transparency is very, yes, absolutely.
Protect your ideas. Now you just recently joined forces with a breakthrough prize to introduce new opportunities for your community members. Can you expand a little bit on this?
Yeah. So the breakthrough prize, I'm not sure if you know that prize, but they try to create a new prize where they award scientists in the world with and give them the recognition they deserve by awarding them 3 million. And there's like prizes for senior scientists and for junior scientists. And I think with ResearchGate, we have all these scientists using ResearchGate, and there's, in my opinion, natural overlap in our interests. And this is why we enable them in the future to working with us together to see if we can even find those talents they're looking for, and then also especially young scientists, which I think is very important, that also young scientists who are just starting their career getting awarded and getting the recognition they deserve. And I think we can do this together with Breakthrough Prize very well.
How is collaboration between community members going on your website? Do they help each other a lot?
Yes. a lot. And we have tons of examples, successful like research success stories where scientists found each other, start working together, and then had a breakthrough in many, many different areas. And I think that is, in science, always, like as a scientist, you have always this feeling, I want to help other people. This is why you go into science. No one goes into science because you want to make money. Like, you know how you get paid in science, right? So it is always this thing, and I always believed, like I always wanted to win the Nobel Prize. When I was young and when I went into science, I said, okay, I really want to do virus research. And this intrinsic motivation every scientist has. And you can use that and leverage this to get all these brains together and people together to work together and solve the big problems we have in this world in a way more efficient way than it was possible before.
Okay, so we talked about your team, we talked about your investors and about making money, and we talked about your product. What is about you, maybe you and your co-founders, the most important component of scaling a startup? You're doing this now for 9 years. Are you getting bored?
It's the opposite, right? As longer it gets, as better it gets, right? It is, I think, and this is what we need in Germany way more, like people who see this as their life mission, as I do, and as also my co-founders do. All three of us, and not only the three co-founders, also there's people from the founding team who's still working at ResearchGate. And just imagine now we have all these scientists, and they're
You
publishing.
had even business angels who joined your team to work for you.
Exactly. Which did not work out in the end, but it's fine. This is how startups are, right? Just imagine now you're at the position that every scientist in the world, like around 60%, are publishing their results in real time into ResearchGate and using ResearchGate as their place to talk about science. The next logical step I see, so the last polymath in the world was Thomas Young in 1800. So that's the last person in the world who knew basically everything what was existing as knowledge at the time. Today, as a scientist, you cannot know everything. So now we have the system of people publishing information into our system. We need to become even more than just a social network. We have to help scientists to make discoveries. I believe strongly that if you take the data, for example, from multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, and Huntington disease, and just take all the data and do some AI, build an AI on top of it, and just try to extract something out of it to project it into the Parkinson research, I'm sure you can find things which you cannot find today because there's way too much data, way too much information, and the scientists are not prepared yet for that. So this is why I'm so excited that now the real work starts. Like, we got the people together, they start to share stuff publicly, but now the next step comes where we have to make science way more effective and efficient and helping scientists to do research.
I want to come back to this, I think, at the end of our talk in a few minutes, but coming back to your personal career and your personal time at ResearchGate, you're still optimistic, you're still bullish with your startup, but there must have been moments that were like really bad. Or coming back to the question popping up there, what was your worst failure in your career or during your startup career?
There's so many, I cannot count them, right? I don't see, and this is also, again, from science, failures as a thing I remember that so much. I remember sometimes the opposites of failures, but way more often the failures, and they're like happening every day. And this is important, this is good, and we need this culture in Germany or in Europe where we are like we are fine with failures. So I don't have I don't remember like big failures because there's so many that I couldn't pick one which is different than the others. I don't know. I could just tell a story, but I think that doesn't change it. So yeah, way too many that I could pick one.
If you sum up the topic, we're talking about scaling the company without losing its core, which is popping up there as a question. Is there 2 or 3 sentence answer where you maybe also can include the answer to the question, did any of the investors try to change the direction of your startup?
No.
Nobody?
No.
So, and in 1 sentence or 3 sentences, how did you scale your company without losing its core? To sum it up?
See culture as a product. So building culture, see that as a product as you would develop a website. So the head of peoples, I call the HR team people team, not HR, is reporting directly to me. And always see the culture you're trying to build as its own product and measure it and measure the success. and then you can scale it up.
Is culture more important than the product, or is culture product plus money? Is there, what would you say
It's
is the
all,
percentage?
you have to, culture and product, they are both intertwined. Like you need both in order to be successful.
Okay. Coming back at the end to this artificial intelligence thing, are you building an artificial intelligence yourself on your platform to put the data together?
There is already something in place, but not the stuff I talked before, like this automatic science, but of course we use a lot for recommendations, but of course there is coming way more in the next years in trying to automate science.
What is your view in general on the human-machine age we are entering, the human AI age? Will artificial intelligence help us? There are some people who warn that artificial intelligence will be dangerous for human beings. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's a tough question. I don't know if artificial intelligence could help me to play better beach volleyball, I would immediately take it. So
Sorry?
if an artificial intelligence would help me to play better beach volleyball, then I would use the artificial and just put all the things into my body. No, but I don't know. I think it will be somewhere in the middle, as always in this world, right?
Okay.
There's no black and white.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ijad, Madisch.